Madam Curry, it's just you and I.
Okay, no problem.
So do we have tell me what we have. And Jatoya, do we have something that can be displayed?
I don't have anything. I thought this was just a discussion so that we could work an agenda out from this meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
so, not a problem.
My idea is
the reason I asked is because in the city commission agenda reviews, obviously, there's something that appears and we go through the agenda. So that's not happening here today, which is fine. We can talk through whatever it is that you envision. I'll share too with you, Madam Curry, what I envision, but let me hear what you've been thinking.
No, I think that because we have the conference coming up on the 6th and the 7th, we can kind of make sure we have a preview so we don't catch people in a lurch from the public who, you know, just want to know what's happening relative to the gun violence summit. And we can kind of talk about a draft agenda.
Okay. Well, let me tell you where my heart is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to do is go back to the motion that was put on the floor.
Okay.
I'd like to break that down. I apologize. I'm not looking at it right now. Jatoya, if you wouldn't mind, if it's not too much to ask, if you could pull that up while we're having this conversation so we can kind of work through that. One of the things that I can remember off the top of my head was we are looking at a task force. And there were a few more things. There are or should be institutional partners brought to this table. The county obviously has agreed. They've signed on in support to partner with us in this effort and making a very having a clear understanding of what that partnership will be is something that I'm interested in doing. I have an ask of them. I have an ask, of them that really, before I talk too much about it, I need to ask some questions and get a little clearer understanding. But how they enter into this space and partner with us should certainly be a part of this conversation. So, Jatoya?
Yes. When you mentioned motion, is this motion was made at one of the public safety, the previous meetings?
No, this is not a published. This is a few months ago when I put a motion on the floor to declare gun violence as a crisis. And Jennifer put a press release out that might be easier for Jatoya to pull up, but I really probably would rather, now that I'm talking this through, I'd rather her actually pull it from the meeting itself. I
don't know what meeting it would be, Jatoya, but it was at a commission meeting when the commission made the motion about this being a crisis, gun violence being a crisis, and she had a motion.
So we'll go back through that, and Madam Curry, ideally, you and I'll be able to sit down and have another conversation about this, and then I'll also work with Jatoya about this. But what I'm envisioning on this particular day, honestly, are our institutional partners coming to the table for a conversation. So the county, HCA, and SHANS, because this is a public health crisis, okay, and how we begin to work together to accomplish whatever goals we put forward is really what I'm looking to do. I want to break some ground here. I also want to invite the school board. Jatoya, what I kind of need to hear from you is who you've already reached out to, because you've reached out to some people. If you could share with Ms. Curry and I who is already coming, that would be helpful.
Okay, so I haven't received any confirmations. I do know that Mr. Shane will not be able to attend this upcoming meeting.
Okay.
But I have sent out invitations to Dr. Brody, Mr. Lawson from HCA, and
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a confirmation back, and from SHANS, the young lady from SHANS, she said that she would not be able to attend.
Who are you referring to? Lakeisha Butler?
Lakeisha Butler.
Did you talk to Nelson, the guy that she works for? Yeah, Nelson is the person that we should be dealing with.
Yeah, not her.
Okay, so, okay.
So you're handling the invites, Jatoya?
Yes, I've sent out a few emails. If there's some more names that I need to reach out to, yes, ma'am, I could take care of that.
Okay,
Several
so
more. So can I make I want to jump in here for just a second. Because really, Ms. Curry, I don't mind putting this in your hands, okay, to do. But I want to make sure that I'm clear on who it is
that you
I can envision in the space, okay?
Mhm.
Because this is a community response.
Right.
Okay, the goal is to drive a community response. The institutional partners, that's the city, that's the county.
Mhm.
Okay.
And when you say the county, are you referring to Clovis specifically?
Absolutely.
Okay,
sure.
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So that is the commissioners. Commissioner Cornell has told me he'll be present. But Jatoya, did you tell me that you spoke with Latoya and that you have extended an invitation to all of the commissioners?
I did send the invitation to Latoya for all of the commissioners.
Mhm.
And put in the calendar invite. I have not received or heard back from her as to who will or will not attend.
Okay, that's fine, as long as they've gotten the invitation. I don't want that oversight. You see what I'm saying? These
Yes,
are our
ma'am.
partners in this effort. So, so we're
Okay.
talking the city, the county, GPD, Miss Curry.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Interrupters.
That's Kate. Is that Caleb Young?
That is Caleb Young.
Okay, so the same day that you did ask me about, or we stated that Caleb's been in the office quite this week. So I did give him the date and asked him to lock it in. Because I wasn't sure if he's the one representing the interrupters, but he was aware.
I'm going to ask him to speak on their behalf. I actually am interested in him giving us some information.
Is it? Yeah. Well, this
I would like to hear a presentation from him.
whole matter was it's been a few weeks. So
Okay.
if you go to the website, to the public meetings, go to the date of that meeting. And you should click on date.
Now, I know you're in your office, Jatoya. It's just kind of a little hard to focus with that talking in the background. Thank you. Did you mute it? Okay. Okay. We said city, we said county, we got GPD, we've got
School
The
board,
sheriff's
even though
office.
Shane's
School
not gonna
board.
be able to make it, we need to find out who can come on his behalf.
and that would be wonderful to do that. And also I'll reach out and Jatoya, the school board members as well. If we can get Dr. McNeely, or we can get Diane or Tina or any of the other members, the invitation needs to go out to them as well, I would think.
Can you share the invitation that you've sent out, Jatoya, with me, just so that I know what you're sending? So when I call and just do some backup calls, just to reinforce.
Yes,
I can
ma'am.
refer to what you've already done.
Yes, ma'am. I can get those forwarded over to you.
Okay.
And I have it pulled up just to run through it really quick. So I sent the email to Paula for Dr. Brody. Jenny Peck, of course, Mr. Shane, I think the Children's Trust is having like a strategic plan meeting that same day from 1 to 3, which is the reason why he's not attending. So I'm not sure if any of the other community partners or stakeholders will be a part of that with the Children's Trust, but that's that reason.
Did you send?
Eric Lawson.
I'm sorry, you went out for just a second.
Okay, I'm just running through the list of who I sent it.
I got you. And I think
yes,
what
ma'am.
happened was a call came through and it knocked your volume out for just a second. So
Okay,
did you
let me
send an
back-
invitation to the
Yes.
Children's Trust? Okay.
Yes, so Tamala Clark for for Eric Lawson at North Florida. Lakeisha Butler, even though I know you said there's someone else.
Yeah, she's just as a point of reference.
And
She
you
is not
said
the person.
Nelson.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so let's slow down for just a second because I want to give you a point of reference, okay?
Okay.
So unless I specifically tell you to contact Lakeisha, she's not the one,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Well, there's.
So for this really should be Dr. Nelson.
Okay.
That's what it is, an update is what's happening.
Yeah, there's no rights, they're just.
Okay, who else?
Addresses.
Okay,
And I said that one.
all right, I'll let her know.
Yep, that's it. Those are the only ones that I sent out.
No, so it's done, it's done.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Um,
A little small.
Madam Curry,
Uh-huh.
That's why I don't go sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know how I need to ask this question because, this is a topic that's of great concern for a lot of folks in the community. There are a number of community organizations who want to be a part of the conversation. Do you know how Jennifer, or let's just say this, can we pull Jennifer into this to send some sort of blurb out, extending an invitation to organizations, some specific to gun violence like Moms Demand Action, others that are just deeply entrenched in the community like Greater Duval and some others? Does she have a list that she might be able to do a little media push out to quickly and with ease about this meeting?
I mean, we could put a list together. I don't know that she has one, but we can just kind of put our heads together and figure out, a list and send out a message that notifies people about the meeting and what it's about. And, we can draft something.
Okay. All right. That would be great. So my biggest thing, to be honest with you, on this day, and please excuse me, because this is a little less structured than I thought it would be, but this is me learning. This is me learning this process. I can envision this conversation largely being between the city and the county, and frankly, how we can provide resources. There are a couple of things that I'm going to ask the county for. There are a couple of things that I am going to ask for. Manager Curry, you'll remember me talking to you about my dreams being dashed of 2 positions that were dedicated to gun violence prevention. Right now, what I'm wondering is what an interlocal agreement might look like to accomplish that. So that's something that I'm going to want to put out on the floor to see if the county might be interested in assisting us in that way. Because despite the, budgetary struggles that we're facing, that work has to continue. And it needs to be immortalized in some way. So while we might be making cuts on our side, I want to know if we might be able, if that is part of the partnership that we can build. You see what I'm saying? Because the truth of the matter is this gun violence is impacting the entire county. So that's going to be something that I put out there. I want to open the floor for how the hospitals can work. Now, here's the other thing. I have a blueprint, okay, that I have been pulling from, that as far as I have been able to see, has been very successful. It's the mayor of New York. You guys have heard me talk about his work, which is phenomenal. It is expansive work. They have a huge budget to do the work. A lot of that comes out of their mayor's office, who is just, their funding system is completely different. Their staffing system is completely different. It's just different. But there are things that we can borrow, and there are pieces of that I intend to put on the table for us to just begin to think about. The issue, I think, for me, is that this is just the first of many meetings, which is why the creation of that task force is going to be critical. Okay.
Your blueprint, again, Commissioner, is from the city of New York?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And it's not all of the pieces of it, but there are pieces of it. Okay. It's just the model. All right. But there are a number of things in it that, frankly, I'd like to allow the task force really to kind of work with. But it's what I'm going to put on the table. You see what I'm saying? It's a framework, and I think it gives us something really good to work from and to model after.
So are you going to develop the task force as a sub working group under the Public Safety Committee, or is this something you're bringing back to the full commission?
Yeah, and so let's kind of talk through that, because I want to make sure I'm clear about the nuances of both. Okay. I want this committee to have some power. Okay. I want it, let me say it like this. When I think about my experiences on some committees recently, and I'll use the Joint Food Policy Committee. Okay. There were some stumbling blocks that we encountered because a lot of people were coming from different places. We were pulling in staff. Staff didn't have a lot of time to address a lot of things. Everything had to come back to the commission. There were a number of things that just prevented us from really being able to move certain things forward. I don't want that to happen with this group. So how we accomplish creating a separate to get this work done is what I'm concerned about. So given those things that you're familiar with, that you remember the Joint Food Policy
Yeah,
Board
of course, yes.
and the challenges that it faced.
Yeah.
What do you think might be the better structure to allow this group of people to do this work?
I think you're going to I think you're going to have to present it to the full commission and basically get have them approve it. I'll just use that word.
Well, the task force has already been approved.
Okay. You mean
That
as
was a part of the motion.
As a part of your motion.
Right.
So I think you're going to probably need to bring back some structure to how you'd like to see it roll out. Particularly if there's going to be an interlocal agreement in the mix, because it'll have to come back to the bodies, right?
Right. The city and the county.
Right. So I think we're going to have to lay out the plan for how the task force is going to work so that you get the buy-in there. And that you, as a part of that plan, also lay out the fact that you're looking for an interlocal. It's just, we've got to put an outline together, which we don't have right now. So I think we need an outline for how this rolls out and for some of the components or elements of the task force, which would include the interlocal agreement. I don't know what kind of staffing is involved here. That's, that is something that the commission, I think, would need to be able to discuss when you bring this back. Since the motion was made at a commission meeting and approved. So it's a motion, but now you've got to put a plan behind that motion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while you're talking about this, one of the things that just occurred to me, I'd like to have this conversation agendaed at our next joint city county meeting. And I know that's probably something that I need to take to the mayor, but I'm putting it out there because if this is something that the city and the county is working on together, then we need to make it a part of that agenda, at least one agenda. So, we can have some discussion around it.
Right. I don't, Zany, are you on this call? Because I'm just curious when that next meeting is.
I don't know either. I don't think Zany is here.
Jatoya, you don't have that date anywhere close to you?
No, ma'am, I don't. And this is for the
city county
joint city county meeting.
Let me get that.
Yeah, Betsy may know. Is she sitting over?
Yes, ma'am, I'm going to get that from her.
Okay, good. So yeah, we need to roll out a plan that we could present, Commissioner, a plan that could be presented to not only the city commission, but like you say, at the city county joint meeting. That needs to happen. And it actually needs to happen before your June 12th meeting. You need a draft of it.
So my plan, or what I can envision the plan being, It's
Mhm.
really based on that
Next one,
blueprint.
August 28th.
I hear you.
So-
And what I'm going to do, Commissioner, is I'm going to contact,
No, it's just.
I'm going to contact her. I mean, actually, she is, at this point, she works for the clerk, but I would contact the clerk and see if we can get Morgan to put something together.
Okay. All right. And I'd like to work with Morgan. So if y'all will have Morgan to call me.
Yeah,
I
that's,
just
I
wanna
think
make sure.
Morgan can lay out, you know, an outline
Yeah.
or the components of a plan.
It's a special meeting on August 28th.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Using the gun violence blueprint out of New York as a framework or guideline.
Right.
That'll work.
That
So,
next, I'm sorry, that next date is August 28th.
Okay.
well, I mean, that is what it is. By that time, you know, we would have had both the summit and this meeting and hopefully have started to build some momentum
Right.
around. But who knows? I would still say let's still try to get it on the agenda, at
Mhm.
least so it's, you know, wherever we are, you know, there
Right.
can
Well,
be
when the mayor meets with Chair Prizia to
Mhm.
talk about the August 28th, they generally meet. I'm a part of that, as well as Michelle Lieberman, and we basically place items forward for that joint meeting. I'll just make sure that this is one of the items.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Madam Curry.
Mhm.
So I think if we have Morgan to pull something together kind of quickly, that'll
Yeah.
also, you know, that'll be a good guide and a good framework for this upcoming meeting.
I would
Um,
agree. No.
What I do want to do for this, and there's a young lady that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, you know, Commissioner Sacco had put forward the idea to have gun violence listening sessions at each one of these. Jertoya, I think I mentioned to you that instead of just taking the chance that someone will be present who wants to speak on the topic, designating someone at each meeting to speak,
Mhm.
and inviting someone, I think would be a good pathway forward for that. You know, and what I want to do kind of in the interest of just being fair and being welcoming to people in the process is just create some way for people possibly to sign up to speak right now, you know, or however we issue the invitation. You see what I'm saying? Folks need to know that this is something that they can sign up to do, and we can schedule them, I guess, accordingly. I just want to make sure that people are present to do it.
So
but
for
also-
example,
Mhm.
Commissioner, you asked about Jennifer, working with, Jertoya to send out an invite around this meeting on the 12th to a network of folk who would obviously have an interest in hearing and maybe sharing.
Mhm.
That we can put inside that message that there is a section on the agenda that will be open for, you know, ideas, suggestions, blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? Since it's a lit, if they want to speak, maybe they can contact Jertoya.
Mhm. Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying,
That's
because
fine.
otherwise, unless you want to specifically identify someone to be on the agenda to speak so that they know coming in that they are going to be there, kind of like what the mayor does with the history moment.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, there's someone already there to share.
Mhm. See, this is a different the way this has been unfolding is this is kind of a different person every time. You know what I'm saying? Who's sharing a personal testimony or giving some sort of insight. That's what it's been.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah,
what I'm
different person.
assuming.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
So I
got
think,
you.
you know, I
But
like the
you-
idea of inviting different people, but I also like that idea of sending that invitation out.
All right, so here it is. So you're going to talk about your draft gun violence blueprint or plan, whatever you're gonna call it. So another item will be your listening session, and then I think you should have an update on the One Nation, One Project.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Let's also have an update on the interrupters. We have Caleb down there?
I don't know who you're talking with.
There's
Toya.
I'm asking. Yeah.
So in the interrupter situation, because I don't know. Based on what I'm told, their grant is ending at the end of June.
Right. But here's the thing, if it's been an effective program, that may be another way that the county can help us.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm looking for help, Miss Curry, on the things that are effective and the things that we need to try to move the needle on addressing gun violence.
So are
And
you
if the county
suggesting,
is a partner, maybe they can assist.
I got you. So are you suggesting that maybe we have him under the listening session? Or you just want an update from him?
I want an update from him.
Okay.
When can they schedule a care plan?
All right. Okay, so I think probably the most pressing thing here, so we can get a draft, is to talk to, I will call and talk to Morgan through the clerk, of course. I will talk with Omi and just make sure that we need to task Morgan with putting this draft together, and that way you can take a quick look at it before anything rolls out.
Okay.
And then we'll draft up something, working with Jatoya to put an agenda together so we can start refining that for the 12th. Jatoya, what's the deadline for the agenda package?
I think it's a week before we have to send it out, a week before the meeting date. So,
So June 5th?
yes, ma'am.
All right. All righty, so I think probably the big piece right now is Morgan, and then I'll talk to Jennifer about a message that can be sent out to a network of folk. We just have to figure out what that network is, who they are, contact information. And that's a draft agenda.
Okay.
Okay. And when can you send this back to me, Ms. Curry? When do you think?
Well, for Morgan, I'll have to find out from her how quickly she can turn something around. The rest of it, the day is Tuesday, probably before the weekends.
Okay.
I'll sit with Jennifer and we figure out whatever that list of, partners are, if you will. We already have the list that Jatoya is working with relative to the task force membership.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Okay.
that's one thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So
Jatoya,
let me back up. So we need to create an agenda. The agenda is going to be, number one, a discussion of a plan to roll out around the issue of gun violence.
Mhm.
The plan will incorporate the formation of the task force. So that plan will be drafted, it'll be in draft, and it will be a part of the discussion. So that's the first item. The second item is going to be an update on One Nation, One Project. A third item will be an update, and it may not be in this order, but an update on the interrupters. A fourth item is going to be an update on where we are with the upcoming conference, the Gun Violence Summit. And the last item is going to be listening session. So those are the items that I have. I have 5 items.
Gotcha. Okay.
Things that need to be done. Morgan obviously needs to be tasked with drafting some kind of a plan or outline. And 2, Jennifer will draft a message/invite to a group of partners, participants who should have an interest in this subject matter, gun violence, and make sure that we include that if they want to speak during the listening session, that they should contact Jatoya. And that's kind of what I have for now. So if you need me to reinforce, Jatoya, phone calls to the folk that the commissioner has listed as potential partners, to include the county, to include the sheriff. And when I say the county, I mean members of the commission and the manager. Of course, GPD, members of our own city commission, even beyond, I guess, those members who are on the Public Safety Committee, Santa Fe, the school board, to include school board members, Dr. Nelson from Shands, Lawson from HCA, trying to see if I have others here. Children's Trust, even though I just heard from Jertoya that they may be involved in a meeting.
Planning. Mhm.
Blah, 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 blah. Let's see if what else I have. Santa Fe, I got Santa Fe, Shands. Yep, that's all I have.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Send that to me, Ms. Curry, so that I can look back over it.
Mhm.
And it may help to jog my memory about anything else that I may have forgotten.
Gotcha.
And we'll go from there. Now, let me ask this. This is just a matter of process and procedure, okay? So that I'm clear. Do we need to have a meeting before our agenda reviews? Because if we would have had Commissioner Sacco and Commissioner Chestnut, this could have been a different conversation that may have lasted longer, may have been a little more, I don't know, confusing.
Well, I have to tell you, the agendas for committees, this is the first committee that I, as manager, have been involved with. This is my
Okay.
first one. So
Mhm.
I'm generally doing GPCs that are driven by commissions deciding what items show up on GPC, because, you know, we have those meetings where, you know, we're working with the clerk to try to figure out this is going to be on this GPC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I know some things kind of come out of left field and get added. And of course, the commission agendas are driven by a process that dictates, you know, whether GRU or the manager has items, but the commission also dictates items for those agendas as well. This is my first time being hands-on involved in a committee of the commission. Audit is driven by items that come through that need audit review. Same thing with finance. You see what I'm saying? So you only
Yeah,
have those-
Jertoya, do you know? Or who can, here's, I'm only asking because I want to make sure that next time we're able to be really efficient. Hello, Jertoya?
Yes, I'm here. I see
Okay.
Zanny's hand raised on the question.
Please pull her in because I'm holding my phone literally to my mouth. I'm not looking.
Okay, Zanny, you're there? Go ahead.
Hi, Commissioner, and hi, Ms. Curry. I'm sorry, I was like on the meeting, but not in as a panelist. I couldn't speak or anything. But typically for the committees, the agenda review is driven by the chair. I think Commissioner Hayes Santos, he also did agenda reviews for his committees, but it's definitely driven by the chair with input from your colleagues on the board or on the committee.
Okay, so what I'll do, and I understand that, but in agenda reviews, like for the commission, we're literally looking at an agenda. So there has clearly been a meeting before the meeting. You see what I'm saying? Something has happened. There's another process that has been put in place.
Right,
So all I'm
and
trying
that
to say-
agenda coordination happens out of the clerk's office.
Right. So let me kind of think, Jertoya, perhaps what we'll do the next time to kind of avoid this, which was a little helter-skelter today, is sit down and think about, or perhaps even reach out to the EAs for the other two commissioners who have those items and see what it is they want, you know, specifically to discuss. I certainly don't mind that. I want to make sure all of us have brought an item. This is my particular item to
Okay.
the committee. Okay.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll get with the other two EAs and ask them to ask their commissioners if they have anything for
Right.
this
I think
upcoming
we only
meeting.
have one more meeting. What's the next one?
The next one after the June meeting. Oh, I don't
Right.
have my list in front of me. It's either gonna fall in July. Let me get the calendar up here. Because before, if it's my understanding that you were
So we have
deciding.
June 12th, is that what is
The
that?
next
No, we're
meeting
talking
is
about the
June.
one after June 12th. What's the
Oh, the
meeting
one
after June
after.
12th?
So I don't see the one after June 12. Jotoya, did you add it yet or no? Onto the
Yeah,
calendar?
it should have been a hold. But I see we got city commission workshops.
I'm pulling up the notes from what we had with the
Mhm.
dates. So we have a hold for agenda reviews, but I don't see the dates held, Jotoya.
The
So the last date
24th.
that we have held is June
Seven-
12th, and then we have agenda review for August 21st.
Okay, so
What's the topic for August 21st?
you guys would decide that. I think
So
gun
we have
violence
not-
was the last on the
Gun
list.
violence is the last? Okay.
Unless you
All right.
want to go to, I know data was on your list.
Okay.
Now, hold on.
All right. The whole point is, and I will sit with this and probably ask to convene with you, the clerk's office in particular, before the next meeting. Okay. So that we can kind of smooth this process out a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So is there anything else?
Nope, so I will start to move this out so we can, and I'll send you some notes so you can react.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Madam Curry.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right,
Jotoya, anything else? Did you have anything else, Zanny or Jotoya?
Oh, did you need me?
That's it. I'm gonna get with my team to get the date for the motion that was made, and the backup documents centered around that. And I'm sure that'll be included in, whatever discussion they'll have with Morgan. to
And
move
send me
that.
the date of the meeting that I made that, because what I'll do is I'll go back to the actual meeting and look
Okay,
at the video.
okay, and I want to confirm, I'm being told it's February the 9th, but I
Mhm.
want to, confirm and make sure that's the date. And we'll get that
Okay.
information to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Curry and team.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.